I stopped just before the end of that video, but another thing that I noticed is the style of that car. You really think an old dude like that is going to be sporting hip hop bro, mentality? No, he's probably going to be driving an old Bentley with analog gauges or some shit like that. Now, those might actually be analog gauges, but that just screams, AI or tech or googly boog, looked up shit. Again, it's either Brian or how many people do fucking today, boy? It's like kind of out of touch, you know what I mean? And that is actually the first thing that caught my eye. Now, obviously, it's fake as shit, just like all of it, but I neglected to mention that. Really, an old dude like that. Okay, an old dude like that, even though his values are fucked, his value system, he does still have values. So, his car that he drives is probably going to have like real, a real wooden dash and shit like that. It's not going to be set up like that. So that's kind of a weak, that just screams AI right there. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Because, my mind wanders. I catch these things in my mind, but I get going down these rabbit trails and I forget to mention shit, or I just neglect to mention them in the first place. As I've said before, I did used to work for the CIA. I worked for I think about, I don't know, maybe 150 years. And, I learned a lot during my stay, my time, and they wanted me to stick around, and they're like, oh, you need to train, the newcomers. And it's like, nah. Because when I was in it, I was like, yo, man, I need to be in this shit. And then I was like in mid-grade, I'm like the World War II fighter ace, who's got 15, kills. And it's like, we want to, ground you and have you start training people. It's like, but, I like, I'm in this war to, help win the war, blah, blah, blah. It's like you'd do so much more if you'd just train people. But, it's like that killer instinct, it's like, and then later on it's like, fuck it, I'm out anyway, you know what I mean? And just the corruption, and it's not the same as it used to be and all that. But during my 150 years with the CIA and the FBI, simultaneously, side by side, I might add, you do learn a lot about, just shit. So, honestly, it's so goddamn insufferable. It's just such fucking bullshit. It's like, gee, that kind of sounds illegal to me. And yes, sometimes things are fucked up, you know what I mean? They can take your money at any point. That's like how these politicians and stuff, that's how they make their money. It's like it's a ghost company. Like Ilmar go boom, 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 universally unpreferable behavior, Oh, I run a wine company. No, you don't. Sell a drop of fucking wine, you corrupt piece of shit. So I was like, okay, you know what I mean? And this is just some dude, who's been reading up on it and really invested, over the last 5 years. And he's a mover and a shaker and a 100,000-aire, so he's got this, in the meantime, low-level shit, just sort of to keep his gray matter stirred. He runs a YouTube channel, or whatever, doing his thing, but it's a new game, Jack. It's a new world. There is so much fucking scum and so much fucking, bad players out there. Yeah. And like I said, if you're doing anything on the internet, you better watch your ass, because that's where these people, it's an arms race. So it's like they're going to use the technology the tools that they have at their disposal. And that's where it's at. So they're not walking door to door trying to sell you a vacuum that's, subpar quality, and they're trying to sell it as high quality. It's the internet. So they can twist and manipulate and hype things up into the fucking outer space. So, and they can get the information and make it sound legit. They can front themselves as, your mother contacting you that your dad had a heart attack. You know what I mean? It's like, well, was I expecting this call? Whatever. I'm exaggerating, but only slightly, So, yeah. Fucking scum, dude. Pure fucking evil. Pure fucking evil. So, you're welcome. This video, I suspect it'll probably get about 53 views. Plus or minus 1 or 2. So, we'll see how it plays out. So, at least 53 people who, without my guidance and wisdom, would be completely lost and susceptible to fuckery. So, Mr. Longhead would be proud. Mr. Longhead! I like him. I subscribe to him. I've been a subscriber from him for many, many years. But it's like guys like that were born to win. Shut the fuck up. No, he's a good dude. He's a solid dude, but shit. Some people do it, He's like, he doesn't recognize that. It's like, you were blessed, right? You came out the gate with a winning personality and a winning, operating system. You know that, right? Mr. 6'2", muscular, all that shit, You know that, right? You were dealt a winning hand and you capitalized on it. But anyway, and he knows that too. He does. I'm not talking shit about it. But it's like, come on, man. Shit. Get the fuck out of here. Do the work. All right. Playing to win or playing not to lose? Playing to win, motherfucker. Boom, boom, boom.